Hello world and welcome to the very first episode of a brand new podcast called Rant Vision. This is a brand new podcast where me, Guthrie, and a bunch of guys are going to get together. We're going to have some fun, have some interviews, talk some shit, and pretty much, if the title wasn't self-explanatory, rant about any and fucking everything that pisses us off.
And piss off some snowflakes in the meantime.
Definitely, this show does come with a disclaimer. If you are somebody who's easily offended and gets your feelings hurt, this is not the channel for you. Please go watch Oprah Winfrey reruns and feel better about yourself. But this ain't the show for you, man.
Get the fuck out of our art loft.
So without further ado, we decided to give you guys a quick recap on 2020. Probably the biggest shit show we've seen in this fucking millennium. And see what we have to look forward to in 2021.
Rant Vision.
Yes.
Much as I feel for that old Tony, that was funny, you know. Fucking special with the fucking fire hydrant.
Yes.
Oh shit, watch out! Oh! Building next door! You have two
So, you guys might be wondering, what are you showing us? This is the segment that we want to talk about today with the biggest Floyd since Pink.
And the biggest George since George Michael.
You know, the one, the only Black Jesus.
Hallelujah!
Hallelujah, George Floyd.
Praise the fucking
Praise
Lord.
be, praise be. So, we have had some Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, which, there's no better way to show your worth than just to fucking riot and loot, you know. That's kind of in the Constitution. It says there, if you feel like you are not being treated adequately, just burn shit and fuck up old ladies in wheelchairs, because that'll get your point across. And then we'll start treating you like humans.
Just take what you want.
Yeah, take what you want,
Oh,
you know.
there, bruh.
So,
Work for that.
So, this is a touchy subject, and especially because of the pale complexion of our skins. But we are bold enough to say that we think it was a total fuck up in the way it was handled. Sure enough, it is a big problem. I do believe that in large parts of the world, black people are still quite oppressed, and there are certain things in government that count against them. Do I think that going around looting and breaking shit's gonna help for anything? No, I most certainly do not. I think that we in today's day and age live in one of the fairest and most equal times we've ever lived in, and you can agree or disagree with me again in the comments. But it comes down again to, you have to have an argument, you have to have facts to back it up on. And in my opinion, and as far as I'm aware, there's no place in the world where there's still slavery going on. There's no place where you are not allowed to get a job because you're black, or you're not entitled to get certain benefits because you're black. And because one convict, got choked out, that's really terrible and it's fucking bad. And that speaks to bad policing and police brutality, and I'm not a fan of that. I do not condone that, and I think I second you there. When it comes to that shit, yeah, fuck the police. But you know what? Take it up with the people who have done you wrong. Don't make it a racial thing. Don't blow it out of proportions, because then you're just opening up a whole can of worms that could have stayed behind. Had you gone and rioted in front of police stations, even fucking gone as far as you did and burned them down, to get your point across, march to Parliament, ask people to hold them accountable, you would have gotten a lot further. But now by turning it into a racial thing, bringing up all this bullshit about white privilege and, Black Lives Matter, like in some way that, the larger society doesn't feel your life matters.
Bringing up shit that happened like 100 years ago.
Exactly, right? That's not helping anybody. At the end of the day, the general consensus is that everybody agreed with you when it came to the Floyd Rose story. I remember as soon as it happened.
George Floyd, I'm sorry.
Floyd
Rose is on a guitar.
Sorry, Black Jesus. I forgot his name there for a second. But
Floyd fucking Rose.
Could be Axel's black cousin. But when the whole thing happened earlier this year or earlier in 2020, I remember seeing that and just being totally astonished at the brutality and the force that the policemen used, and I was disgusted. And I think I was one of the people who got on the bandwagon. I was like, this guy should be held accountable. He should lose his job and he should be put in prison. Whether you have a badge or not, that does not put you above the law, and it does not make that right. Again, that's taking on the problem that you have, and the problem is with police brutality and police people victimizing black people. If that is the case, I don't live in America, I can't speak for you guys. Apparently, it seems if I look at the outrage, that is what happens. But, I think society as a whole ended up taking it 3 steps too far. Tearing down statues and stuff,
Cancel culture, man.
Cancel culture. It's honestly, the biggest thing is it's like people take the moral high ground like they've never made a mistake themselves. It's like going back, with this cancel culture 5 years, finding a tweet where you said something that people don't agree with or find offensive in any fucking stupid way, and then being like, your whole life should come to a standstill because of this. You should lose your job. Your wife should fucking leave you. Nobody should employ you. You should be a social outcast because of some stupid shit you said 5 years ago. Now, to put that in perspective, on a psychological basis, every 7 years you have a new friend group in your life because you change so much as a person that you outgrow most of your friends. So, to go back 10 years, that's a completely different person, and now to try and ruin his life in today, here in the here and now, that's just stupid. It's the same, when you tear down the statues. Those people fought wars and there's a history to it, and just because of the fact that they had slaves in a time where slavery was still a thing doesn't mean that now you can tear down the statues, because it's not what it's symbolizing. They didn't get their statue up there because they had slaves. Nobody went like, oh, hell yeah, but get Colonel Sanders a goddamn statue because he has slaves. Nobody's that fucking ignorant.
I think the fucking stupid thing about it is not knowing your history and not knowing your facts, and it's with the whole fucking statue thing and that. It's like they just see a white guy on a statue and go okay, no, fuck it, that white guy must come down because he's a colonialist, or he was a fucking dude that had slaves or whatever. But definitely, some of the statues that they were pulling down were actually people that fought against slavery. So they don't even know who the fucking oak is that they're pulling down. That is.
And that's such a good point that you made, because I don't really think people know their history well enough. Here in South Africa, I can tell you now that the history that we're taught, history is taught by the victors. So we had a bad apartheid era and just terrible stuff that happened here, but now we relive it in schools the whole time, and it's that whole perpetual telling you what happened and making you feel bad for shit that happened years before you were born. And it's the same with that. It's like it's started with the thing of police brutality. That was the problem. That was what needed to be looked at and needed to be boycotted and addressed. And yet we're pulling down statues of white people that had nothing to do with Floyd Rose being killed. It's not like
George
it's
Floyd.
Fuck. Like, Jesus, I'm so sorry. God damn.
But the other thing is the same with the fucking riots and the looting and shit like that. They fucking doing it in neighborhoods where it's like their own neighborhood. It's kind of like fucking shitting on your own doorstep. And it's like they fucking burning down in shops where they don't even know if it's owned by a black person. Or like bigger supermarkets and shit, it's like fucking black people work there. Now you've taken away their livelihoods and shit, so like it just doesn't make any fucking sense, you know?
And you know, I don't even blame actually the mass public as much. You know, I think it's retarded what they're doing, but also it's the media perpetuating this black on white.
Media.
The fucking media is the guys that are out there just trying to turn you against each other, because you see, it's one of the main things when it comes to warfare: divide and conquer. If you guys are fighting with each other, then you won't fight with the actual enemy, and the actual enemy is your government that's busy failing you. Because if the government was working the way it should, they would have said those cops need to be held accountable, they would be put on trial, and they would be found guilty, and they would be put in prison. But now they don't want to take that onto themselves. They don't want to worry about the little guys and you know, the people on the bottom. So what do? They're just like, you know what, take it out on each other. You want to get angry? That guy was white. Take it out on all the whites now.
Well, I think it's like a similar thing that we have here in South Africa, isn't it? Like, where we don't actually really have like a major racism problem here. Like, you know,
not at all.
You know, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Obviously, it does exist. But I mean, we integrate quite well. Fucking thing, you know, things are moving on and shit. Like, or have moved on.
Yeah.
But it's the fucking governments and the media that make it like there's an issue between black and white.
Definitely.
Where there isn't really. I mean, I fucking work in an environment with lots of people from different cultures and colors and fucking all that jazz, and there's never an issue, you know. And every day in my daily life, there's never really a fucking issue anywhere, you know. And they fucking incite the hatred, and the media just blows it up, and the next thing you know, now you got people fucking fighting and bickering. If you had to just fucking get them, we should cancel them. That should be the fucking cancel culture. Cancel the fucking media and cancel the fucking government. I think the other thing with this whole like Black Lives Matters thing that like obviously kicked off in America and shit is that like is the way that it eventually blew up like it did. I mean, black people were like going around in the streets and like fucking getting white people to like kneel down to them and like kiss their fucking feet and apologize to them and all sorts of shit. And people were doing that, and I'm like, fuck you, bro. Definitely. I don't fucking apologize to you for fucking shit.
For nothing, because I did fucking nothing.
Yeah, then it just blew up like internationally, like all the sportsmen around the world fucking taking a knee and shit, and then the guys that didn't take a knee were like fucking scrutinized. Like, how dare you not take a knee? It's like, well, fuck, don't we live in a free fucking country?
Exactly.
Freedom of speech, freedom of expression and shit like
that. And again, then
know?
it's like, what do they have to apologize for, and why should they be in cahoots with these people? Like, if you take a knee and you say that you're in cahoots with them, then that means you agree with the organization. Now, I'm sorry, I don't agree with the organization that goes and burns and loots their own people's stuff. There's apparently Black Lives Matter, but you're burning black businesses, you're putting black people out of business, you know.
And I think the organization itself is actually quite a big organization with a lot of fucking money.
Exactly. So I'm not getting behind that. And again, it's like, if you don't, then you get scrutinized and labeled as a neo-Nazi or racist. It's like, no, I just don't want to be affiliated with an organization that would go to that extremes to get their point across and actually be more detrimental to the black community than any white person has been in the recent years.
COVID-19! 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 COVID-19!
So, at the time of recording this video, as you can see here, we have the World Health Organization with their dashboard. There are 87 million, and I'm not gonna try and read all the fine prints about it. 87.
Got that high.
Sorry, I'm coming down with a bit of a siddle.
It's a zoomer.
Oh, zoomer. Sorry. So 87,000 million cases worldwide, and there have been 1.8 million deaths worldwide. Very interesting to see on this dashboard is that there's nowhere where it shows the amount of people who have survived the virus, because I kind of think that's just a part of the propaganda. And I know guys gonna be like, oh, you are a bunch of anti-vaxxers and conspiracy theorists. But it's just quite funny to me that there's no inclination of how many people have survived this. And probably it's because most of them already survived it. It is a big thing. I'm really sorry if you've lost a family member to COVID. And, it's not a cool thing ever to happen. But
we're not saying it's not real.
Yeah, it's not like it's not real. All we're saying is that it's not such a deadly thing as they make it out to be. And there are a lot worse things in the world. I mean, there's an estimated 16 million people dying each year from cancer. We've known about cancer since 1775, and still there's no definitive cure for that. here this virus comes out and people are like, oh my God, everybody's gonna die. And, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Why I also say I'm not really as sympathetic towards this, although, you know, a lot of people are dying and whatnot. There are more people losing their jobs because of the lockdowns than there are people dying of the virus. There's 1.8 million worldwide that have died, and within the first month of our lockdown in 2020 in South Africa alone, there's 3 million jobs that are just gone. People who have lost their livelihoods, people who can't support their families or, you know, pay their mortgages. You know, it doesn't justify, the end doesn't justify the means. It's like, how many lockdowns do we have to make sure that somebody doesn't get, you know, coronavirus, that they can probably survive and just take it as, you know, a normal cold and flu. You know, how many jobs are we going to take away until we can just come to that conclusion, you know? So
it doesn't really make sense in the numbers. But I suppose the good thing that COVID did bring out was that, I mean, this country was fucked before COVID. I mean, it's like, there's no doubt about that. The economy was fucked. I mean, the ANC, who are the ruling party, have basically been running this country into the ground fucking rapidly ever since they came into power, you know, in like 1994 or whatever, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. But I think the good thing about the lockdowns and COVID and shit is that it's really exposed them like even more, you know, like where people can really see now like how fucking corrupt they are. I mean, they've stolen billions of rands, like
and I think that's a very thing, the very thing that you said there. It's like when you look at the numbers, and that's where you know, just to put it out there, we started off really like in your face, but we are factual type of people, you know. We're not out there listening to conspiracies and, you know, getting in the rabbit hole of, you know, what conspiracies and, you know, reptile people running this world. We just look at the numbers, and the numbers just don't add up. And you know, again, if you look at the numbers, 500 billion. So to wrap your guys' heads around it, there are 1,000 millions in 1 billion, and they had 500 billion that was given to them as aid for this, you know, whole COVID type thing. You know, we had funding from China and all sorts of different countries to try and help us. That money is gone. It's literally gone. Now, you have to ask yourself a question, right? So SARS are like, you know, tax, what do you call it, like tax directory or whatever.
the tax man.
Yeah, the tax man. He can see if you skimped on like a fucking 20 rand, right? They can find that 20 rand and you know, pretty much lock you up for tax fraud. But somehow, somehow they fucking got it right to lose 500 billion in funding to help the, you know, less fortunate, to help us get hospital beds and stuff. It's fucking astonishing. And I was
thinking, you know, like the level, like they are like Avenger level fucking corruption. You know what I mean? Like, if they had to just take, I mean, the stuff that they come up with is fucking ingenious.
It is.
If they had to just take that and like turn it into something good, this country would actually be like a flourishing fucking country.
That's so true, man.
I mean, the shit. I mean, like UIF, man. They were paying out to dead people. You know what I mean? Like they just run, they run it through their system as a payout, but meanwhile the fucker's dead, like for how many years, and they're pocketing all that cash. I mean, that's fucking brilliant. Like,
and you know,
why didn't I think of that, man?
Yeah, and you think to yourself, it is. It's like you can skim so much off the top with that type of money. I actually went and again, like I like numbers, I love facts. I did a quick mathematical equation of if you had to take that and the population of our country, right? You could give each and every single person 8,600 rand. Now, to put that into perspective, minimum wage is around about 1.5 a month, right? So you can give pretty much, you know, close to 8 times what somebody makes in a month on minimum wage to them, and they could be fine throughout the lockdown, but you just fucking lose the money. It's like, it's, as I said, it's Avenger level corruption, you know?
Dude, they're the Avengers of corruption.
Tobacco will just be sold. There are no particular restrictions on it, unlike alcohol. Part of the reason is that the reason tobacco was banned was that if you are a smoker for quite some time and you go into and you get COVID, as it is a respiratory, though it affects other diseases, but other organs, but
So there you have it, from the horse's mouth. Slow Yoda with her little cap on there.
What a dumb thing.
Yeah.
Makes complete sense. You know?
But yeah, I mean, it helps other diseases, you know, and it affects other
organs, right?
affects other diseases.
We are led.
So here in South Africa, for those of you who don't know, we have just gone into lockdown level 3 again. And they banned alcohol. So the first time around in 2020, when we had the lockdown, they decided to take away the sale of alcohol and cigarettes because, you know, it affects other diseases. But yeah, Slow Yoda over there is pretty much our Minister of Health. She's also been the Minister of Home Affairs. She's also been the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And every time she...
Anyway, she needed a job, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
But,
you know, they have the same policy as the Roman Catholic Church, where if a priest fucks a boy, they're just like, no, we'll just send you to the other convent. They don't really punish you for it. And the ANC works on the same regiment, you know. So everywhere she's fucked up, and then they're like, no, just come over to the health sector. So to give you guys a bit of a bigger picture on what was going on here, you know, you might think it is justified to take away cigarettes or alcohol, but with these corrupt little motherfuckers over here, she is in bed with one of the people who bring in all the illegal cigarettes and sold over 2 million units a day at pretty much like
illicit cigarette sales.
Yeah, pretty much like at 3 times the price of normal cigarettes. So the British...
Getting rich.
Yeah.
Oh, people are losing their fucking jobs left, right and center.
And the British American Tobacco Company decided to take it to court about this, and now she's appealing the decision pretty much just to make our lives shit again and make sure that you can get a cut off of her cigarette sales. So yeah, that's where we at the moment. So 2021 doesn't really look like it's going to get much better. But, you know, at least, you know, 99.9% of us survived COVID. So I guess that's a, you know, tip to that.
What alcohol are you drinking?
Yeah. Naughty me. So pretty much 2020 has been a crazy year as far as everything is concerned. We started off the year with Australia burning, and that doesn't even make the highlight reel for the fucked up shit that happened in this year for most people. But yeah, just to mention that, for those of you who don't know about it or have completely forgotten about it, Australia was on fucking fire in the beginning of this year, and they struggled for months to get it under control. 25 people lost their lives, over 2,000 homes were destroyed, and people have to start from scratch and you know, just rebuild their lives practically. And there's an estimated 1 billion animals that actually died in the fires. And I mean, dude,
too bad I wasn't 1 billion people.
yeah, dude. Yeah. And you know what's fucking crazy is, like, if you take Australia into account, I mean, they have some of the most diverse wildlife in the world, like koalas and you know, kangaroos and stuff. So
everything wants to fucking kill you out there.
Yeah, it's a shit show. Like, I think they are a lot safer. Like the Australian public is a lot safer after the fires. But,
yeah.
And then yeah, the big C happened, the COVID, and you know, pretty much we were put in lockdown. At the stage, I didn't really feel too bad when we went into lockdown, or, you know, feel too against it, just because it was a new virus and there was a lot of miscommunication. Like, some people said it was like the second Black Plague. Other people were like, no, it's like a common flu. So, you know, you had to make a quick decision. And, you know, I don't envy any of the world leaders that had to make that decision, you know, to pretty much stop the spread by doing a lockdown, or to carry on with life as normal and risk half your population dying off. You know, it's not a cool or easy decision to make. However, the lockdowns happening now and our restrictions here, I do not agree with, mostly just because of the fact that there's no real evidence supporting that it's helping, nor does it really seem like such a big pandemic as everybody's making it out to be.
Oh, well, fuck it. Let's go wash the dishes, bro.
Yeah.
Rant over.
Rant over.
MacDonald had a farm, and on his farm he had some ducks.